The school board meeting of November 20, 2019 is now called to order. Prior to this meeting, the board participated in its annual reorganization meeting. I want to thank my colleagues for re-electing me as chairman and Mr. Shaw as vice chair. At this time, we will stand for the presentation of colors and the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Mrs. Paul. Presenting the flag is the Seminole Ridge Community High School Army JROTC under the direction of Colonel Anthony Reyes.
Colors. Hope. Left. Space. Free sign. Colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The national anthem will be sung by Miss Alexa Davis, an intensive reading teacher at Congress Middle School.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Right. Face. Forward. March. Forward. Colors. Forward. March.
Would the clerk please take the roll?
District 1, Barbara McQuinn. Here. District 2, Chuck Shaw. Here. District 3, Karen Brill. District 4, Erica Whitfield. Here. District 5, Frank Barbieri.
Here.
District 6, Marcia Andrews. Here. District 7, Deborah Robinson.
All right, all 7 board members are present, as well as our student representative from the County Commission. Tell me what your... Humor me, I'm old.
I'm Palm Beach County Student Council President.
Thank you very much. And we have Lung Chu, our Inspector General, and Julianne Rico, our General Counsel. There's no minutes to approve. Mr. Superintendent, I see we added P2. Good cause exists for adding this item so employees can begin in their new positions as soon as possible. Do you have any other items to add?
No, sir. I just wanted to say for the board, I heard you loud and clear about items being added at the last minute. However, personnel addendums will always typically be added late, and we will make sure that they're socialized to you prior to so that people can start on time. That would be the only exception.
Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, items you're withdrawing?
Yes, COM 6, ELR 1, and ELR 5.
Board members, we have two items that have been pulled, FMFP1 and PA1. Are there any other items you want to pull? Seeing none, we'll need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Mrs. Andrews, seconded by Mrs. Whitfield. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Disclosures and abstentions, anyone? Superintendent, comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Ensuring academic excellence, a world-class education, and equity and access and opportunity to all students are goals of the School District of Palm Beach County. The way we teach today is very different from many of the methods used even a few years ago. Today, technology has changed the classroom. Our students speak many languages. Our choice programs are designed to engage students of varying interests, and security is a mainstay on our campuses. To grow, we must continually evolve and self-reflect on what is working and where we are. As a district, we must improve. We are an A-rated school district with a 91.7% graduation rate, but there's still a lot of work to be done. In just a few minutes during the recognitions portions of the meeting, you will see that our district earned the Distinguished Making Strides Together Award provided by the Council of Great City Schools. Specifically, our district earned this recognition because of our exemplary work toward master board planning with an eye on equity. I commend all of our educators for our gains in recognizing the potential in all of our students. However, this work must continue. During a meeting last week with all district principals, I underscored that making even greater advances in ensuring equity is not the desired state, but is the required state. As a district, we are making advances in closing the achievement gap among minority students taking college preparatory classes, but disparities still continue. Our data shows that Hispanic and Black students, particularly Black males, are still far less likely to take advanced placement classes. I challenge school and district leaders to commit more than ever before to scheduling every student in such a way that will maximize their unique potential. This takes technical knowledge, dedication, and time, but there is no time that is better spent than which is investing in our students. This commitment has also involved addressing the social and emotional needs of all of our students. Florida has experienced significant changes in safety, both physical and emotional. We are committed to preserving the spirit of social and emotional learning, even through our high-stakes context. In Palm Beach County, counselors and behavior specialists are available to students on every district-operated campus. We are also seeing success with an initiative called PACELI, which is designed to equip students with the skills they need to remain emotionally healthy. This brief video shows how it works in our schools.
Social emotional learning in Palm Beach County is being implemented and studied in 7 pilot schools with practices in more than 50 additional schools. From what we see, it's working.
A good person is kind and thankful.
Honesty, kindness, they are respectful to others.
Responsibility, leadership, not being a follower, not stereotyping people for what they look like or anything.
These are the skills that get you a job. These are the skills that help you keep a job. These are the skills that help you form and keep stable relationships, friendships, partnerships, all of those things that we want for our young people as they grow up.
To be confident in themselves, to respect other people. They show empathy to everyone.
If I become a great person, I would have a good paying job, I would have a nice home, and I can buy my parents a new car.
We are involved in a process that prepares young people to assume adult roles and teaching them leadership and based on a sense of belonging. I think most parents resonate positively with that.
SEL in Palm Beach County happens morning to night, in school and out of school. It helps children and adults manage emotions, interact positively, build confidence, improve academics, teach empathy, forge relationships, and impact lives.
watching that moment, watching them respond, watching that breakthrough one child at a time. It's not about data on a graph. It's about building that relationship, and that's what SEL does, and that's how it's successful in our school buildings.
When we think about the site work with Pacelli, it really is about hearing from those teachers and those practitioners about the change in how they're approaching the children.
We're so fortunate with the partnership through Wallace, through Primetime, Castle, the Forum for Youth Investment, so many partners coming around together to make sure that we get that right, not just in day school, but in after school.
Absolutely. I think we should give a round of applause to our team that are working through this SEL work. I think it's also important for me to acknowledge as a father of a child in our school system, whenever I'm yelling at him about cleaning his room, he reminds me there's a nicer way to say it. And so, now again, I was raised a little differently, but I'm learning, Donald, I'm learning. I'm gonna get better. I'd also like to take a moment to congratulate District 6 Board Member Marsha Andrews for earning the Educator of the Year Award at the Shining Star Awards ceremony of the Puerto Rican Hispanic Chamber of Palm Beach County. A formal recognition will take place shortly. Let's give Ms. Andrews a round of applause. And lastly, I'd like to take a moment to wish our board, our staff, our students, parents, and the entire community a very happy Thanksgiving. And at this time, I'd like to invite our Deputy Superintendent, Keith Oswald, to the podium for an update on the appointment of a brand new principal.
Thank you, Dr. Fenoy, and good evening, board members. I'm pleased to introduce to you one of our great new leaders that will be taking the role of principalship at Palm Springs Elementary School, Mrs. Marjorie Rowe. Marjorie?
Good evening. Board Chair Barbieri, Vice Chair Shaw, and esteemed board members, Dr. Fenoy, Mr. Oswald, I am honored and humbled to have been selected to be the very proud principal of Palm Springs Elementary School. I have so many to thank on my leadership journey. Mrs. Pamela Arnett, Mrs. Haynes, Mrs. Rivera, Ms. Bonnie Fox, and Dr. Sanders. Their wisdom, their guidance, and their faith in me has been a true inspiration. I would like to acknowledge and thank my family, my wonderful husband of 31 years, whose patience and support is unending, even when I have had to make strange school-related purchases. When Amazon delivered 40 dishpan testing bins to our house, he didn't even bat an eye. To my beautiful and talented daughters, both of whom are Palm Beach County teachers, they make me proud every single day to be their mom. To my parents, my mother and my father, who recognized my teaching heart even when I was a child and pushed me to reach for the stars. As the new principal of Palm Springs Elementary, I am committed to continuing to build relationships with a wonderful staff and community and leading the school to great heights. Every single student is important to me, and I am passionate about ensuring that they reach their highest potential. Dr. Fenoy, Mr. Oswald, thank you for trusting me. I am excited and very eager to begin my work on behalf of the entire Palm Springs community. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
Congratulations.
Mr. Chairman, that's the end of my comments today.
Ms. McQuinn?
Yes, I had the opportunity over the last couple of weeks to learn about a program I'd heard about before, but I learned in depth about a wonderful organization in many of our schools called Suits for Seniors. The founder and CEO of Suits for Seniors is Mr. Tay Edmonds. The excitement that he brings to the conclusion of this 8-week program, the students they're mentored, but they participate in a curriculum that includes financial literacy, college transition, career exploration, and leadership. And now they were at William T. Dwyer High School, there were 12 male seniors who completed the curriculum, and at the end, they receive a tailor-made suit. They looked amazing. The following week, then, I went to Palm Beach Gardens High School, and they have expanded the program. So we also had 12 female students who completed the program. So the guys all got a tie and their tailored suit, and the women had their tailored suit with a string of pearls. I wish you could have seen them. It was just remarkable. Their parents, their families were there, and it was a great celebration. Thank you.
Ms. McQuinn? I'm sorry, Mrs. Whitfield?
Thank you. I just wanted to talk really quickly about an event that happened on Monday, mostly because I love when the community decides that they want to help our schools and that they have something valuable of their own to give. So Judge Samantha Fuhrer came to me a few years ago and said that she was interested in doing an ethical governance day in our schools, something she wanted to model after a program she had seen when she worked in Miami. And so we don't do it quite like Miami does, but on Monday we did our 4th session. We did it at Lake Worth High School. This program that we've also done at Forest Hill, Atlantic, and Santa Lucis before this is wonderful because we bring in a bunch of different government representatives, commissioners from the area. If we can find an alumni that also works in government for that school, we generally do it. This year, this program we were able to. It's wonderful when we can do that. We bring in lawyers that work at the Public Defender's Office, lawyers that work in other forms, the state's attorney's office, and we bring in someone from our ethics commission and talk about, we try to answer the questions that the students have. A lot of the questions really are about how to get into that position. How do we get to a place where we can do that same job? Because they're very interested in that. And they love seeing someone who had gone to their high school who's risen up to a very high position and how they achieved that. So it was really just a very special day. And I wanted to thank all of the people who have come to these last 4 sessions. We even had Dr. Robinson at one come to speak. And I think it's just such a wonderful thing when the people in our community can give back to the students and show them how they can grow and the positions that they can have. Finally, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone. This has been such a wonderful year, and I'm thankful for this school district. I'm always so proud to work here. I love being able to be a part of the work that we do. Our school district just grows and shines every day, and so that is one of the things that I am most thankful for this year. And I wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that you will have all the wonderful things that you can share with us that you are thankful for as well. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield. Ms. Brill?
Thank you. So I was going to start off commenting about the governor's budget, but I know that Mr. Burke and our CTA president, Mr. Katz, will at some point share their similar concerns in a far more eloquent and animated fashion. So I've decided to pass on that. I will, however, update you on the COBRA Education Committee's 2020 legislative priorities. COBRA is the Coalition of Boynton West Residential Associations and is an active and powerful lobbying group. They decided yesterday at their education meeting to mirror our priorities as recently voted upon. COBRA's Governmental Affairs Committee is expected to select 3 of those priorities to push forward when they lobby for the organization in Tallahassee. In addition, once we receive FEA's, the Florida Education Association's platform, any issues that are missing from our platform will also be considered by COBRA. So I have to say it's wonderful to partner with our communities and especially this organization, which is filled with a lot of retirees who care about education. Today is Transgender Day of Remembrance, a day to honor the memory of those who lost their lives from anti-transgender prejudice. According to the new Human Rights Campaign report, 22 transgender people had been murdered in the United States in 2019. 3 of those victims were Floridians. Ellie Marie Washtuck, shot on January 31st, this past year in the World of Golf Village, Florida. Marquis Kiki Fantroy, shot on July 31st in Miami, and B. Love Slater burned on September 4th in our own Clewiston, Florida. Stephen Gaskill, the president of the Florida LGBTQ+ Democratic Caucus, issued the following statement for Transgender Day of Remembrance to honor the lives that we've lost, and I want to share it with you. On Transgender Day of Remembrance, we honor courageous individuals who dared to live the lives they were meant to live, but whose time with us was cut short. We are all accountable for ensuring acceptance, raising awareness, and providing support for our community, and that in that respect, today is a reminder that we have failed. The LGBTQ community in Florida is diverse, and that diversity is our strength. We stand united with Florida's transgender community, and particularly our transgender women of color, who have been the target of deadly violence. Our thoughts are with them today, and our actions will support them always. And this falls into our policies that we have here at the school board. I kicked off this month with reading for the record at Manatee Elementary School. The book this year was Thank You, Amu. This is the book. And it's a wonderful story about sharing. It was a great selection to start off the holidays, and also a nice reminder that next week, when your children are at home, please spend some time reading with them and to them. It's important, and there's no better feeling than spending quiet time together. And with that, I wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving holiday with your friends and loved ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brill. Mrs. Andrews?
Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. As we enter the season of Thanksgiving, it's a special time to give thanks for our blessings. I am thankful to be your school board member because it gives me an opportunity to reach out and be a champion for students, teachers, staff, and the communities. I'd like to say, first of all, thank you to the Urban League of Palm Beach County, CEO Patrick Franklin. Thank you for spotlighting our students. The New Lights and the National Achievers Society, we had the wonderful annual Youth Empowerment Luncheon at the West Palm Beach Marriott. Outstanding students from Glade Central High School and Pahokee High School were in attendance, along with other students. But these students led the program. They were spotlighted for their academic achievements. I thank the Urban League for the work that they do each and every day for the students of Palm Beach County School District. And it was also a pleasure to be with the Classroom Teachers Association on last week as the Fun Our Future bus tour rolled in to the CTA headquarters for their public education town hall that featured outstanding students. That bus has been traveling all across the state of Florida, but they came and made a stop right here at our own local CTA, and we had students from Delray talking to all of us that were in attendance about what it means to be educated in Palm Beach County schools. I was there with many teachers, the Florida Education Association leaders, community support professionals, as well as legislators to listen to the students discuss education issues. The big red bus is traveling, as I said, throughout the state. A grand rally will be held at the state capitol on January 13th. Teachers from Palm Beach County, as well as teachers from across the state, will be speaking to the legislators and the governor and letting them know they must fund our future. And I was also inspired by youth participating in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes program. It was my pleasure and honor to be able to speak to the students, to encourage and listen to them. Sports are important, but it is all about working together, sportsmanship, team efforts, and knowing it's bigger than one person. It is about the team. And I'm happy and thankful this evening for board item CA-2. It's the CDL truck driving for West Tech Educational Center students on tonight's agenda. Thankful to the legislature for approving $250,000 to us. And also, Dr. Fenoy, I'm thankful to you tonight for bringing this forward, this item forward for the board to approve. It's going to make the difference in the lives of many of our students and adults to be able to drive a big wheel out there on the highway to make it happen. Jobs paying $95,000 or more a year. So this training is very, very essential. And lastly, I truly am thankful to the Puerto Rican Hispanic Chamber for honoring me as a shining star in education. I really do appreciate the honor, and I promise to live up to being a shining star for every child in Palm Beach County. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Dr. Robinson?
Thank you. Excuse me. Good evening. So tonight's Black History Fact will be a little different than usual. First, let me say that on tonight's agenda that we have proclamations honoring two outstanding Black educators, Dr. Gerald Burke, who is here with us, and Ida Elizabeth Wesley, also known as Libby the Great. I will not attempt to share the expansiveness of their contributions in my short time here, but the proclamations do share a small part of each of their accomplishments. I want to make note before I get to the substance of my comments that there is a showing of a movie, Push Out, the Criminalization of Black Girls in Schools, Wednesday, December 4th, 6 p.m. at the Main County Library here on Summit. The video will be, the documentary will be shown, and there'll be a panel discussion. I'm honored that I've been asked to participate in that panel discussion, so we expect a lively discussion. So now on to the substance. Tonight I want to talk about the educational debt. Gloria Ladson Billings, in a 2006 scholarly work, makes points that I think are important as we embark upon this significant equity work. She is the past president of the American Educational Research Association, and her research interests are in culturally relevant pedagogy and applications of critical race theory in education. The author uses economic terms and discusses the nation's budget deficit. The annual accumulation of the deficit on top of deficit is the national debt. Even in years where there is no budget deficit, the national debt can continue to grow. In the same way, the achievement gap, compounded year after year after year with interest, so to speak, is the educational debt. So even if we close the gap 1 year, measured by the almighty test, unless we address the remaining debt, we still leave children behind. Another way to see this is, many of you are familiar with the summer slide. We have seen the video of the little characters that don't have summer learning experiences and fall back academically while making progress similar to their peers when provided the opportunity during the school year. If you look at the accumulated lack of progress year after year, decade after decade, generation after generation, you can see the educational debt. A snapshot of that debt, again, is called the achievement gap. So in the scholarly work by Ladson Billings, she refers to an accounting text that lists the, quote, non-market effects of schooling. These are the intergenerational effects of education. To mention a few, and we know many of these, there's a positive link between one's own schooling and the schooling received by one's children. There's a positive association between school and the health status of one's family members. There's a positive relationship between one's own education and the efficiency of choices made, for example, consumer choices, which themselves have effects on well-being. Additionally, there's a positive relationship between one's own education and one's lifetime earnings, which will provide a stable life for the next generation. Now, the author lists 4 categories of this debt. 1, the historical debt. There's a legacy of educational inequities. Just to make a couple of points, Black students in the South did not have opportunity for universal secondary schooling until 1968. Native Americans were sent to mission schools designed to force assimilation, and no historically white institutions would accept them for college except some of the HBCUs. Some of the, no historically white institutions would accept them for post-graduate education, but HBCUs would, such as Hampton Institute. In 1864, Congress made it illegal for Native Americans to be taught in their native language. There's similar examples in the history of Latinos in our country. That's part of the historic debt. Then there's the economic debt. Throughout this country and throughout this nation's history, schools of predominantly black and or brown children receive less funding than schools with majority white students. Now in Florida, the FEFP formula mitigates against the large dollar per student disparities that you see in places such as Michigan, where you can cross the city limits and see a precipitous increase in funding per student in the suburbs. However, when you consider in Palm Beach County in Florida, when you consider funding from community sources, including fundraisers, internal accounts, foundations, and et cetera, there is likely to be a funding gap. But it's hard to see because we don't see the spreadsheets of the foundations and the internal accounts and the fundraisers, right? So since education correlates with earnings, and there's been a multi-generational denial of access to high-quality education, here you can see a wealth gap. Thirdly, the socio-political debt. This is the accumulated debt from the denial of access to civic process and institutional power. I'm going to skip some of this, but let me go on to say that, for example, one of the manifestations of socio-political power is the opportunity to vote. And we all know that many people were denied access to the right to vote. Then there was policy change, for example, affirmative action, that gave opportunities and even preference to people who were members of groups that had been historically denied access. Now, I must make note that affirmative action might have helped someone get into college, for example, but it did not help you graduate. In the words of the 20th century scholar James Brown, quote, "I don't want nobody to give me nothing, open up the door and I'll get it myself." Now, the group that, you know I'm right. So the group that benefited the most from affirmative action, though, I want to make note, were white women. However, affirmative action was in part responsible for the creation of the black middle class. Today in our school system, the socio-political debt is manifested in the ability of some parents to volunteer in schools, visit schools during the school day, be part of daytime SAC meetings, and persistently push school administrators to remove subpar teachers or teachers viewed to not be in alignment with their worldview. Other schools have children of parents who are not so blessed and empowered to be able to closely observe and monitor school happenings and advocate for improvement. Manifestation of the socio-political debt in our schools. Fourthly, and I'll be closing soon, the moral debt. A moral debt reflects the disparity between what we know is right and what we actually do. For example, the infamous Tuskegee experiment, where over a 40-year span, black patients with syphilis, some given syphilis, were intentionally not treated so that the natural history of the disease could be studied. Human subject medical study protocols changed after that. So we owe them and their descendants. There's also Henrietta Lacks, whose cervical cancer cells were obtained and cultured without her knowledge and consent, and those cells, the HeLa cells, serve as cell cultures for thousands of medical studies. These studies have impacts on our longevity, so we owe her and her offspring. So in this district, we're saying the word equity over and over again with increasing frequency, which is why I feel the need to explain the educational debt. And I hope that you will, my fellow board members, will study the scholarly work that I sent to them with this title. But I need us to remember the multi-generational accumulation of that debt. So in the 1965 address at Howard University, President Lyndon B. Johnson said, quote, "You cannot take a man who's been in chains for 300 years, remove the chains, take him to the starting line, and tell him to run the race and think you're going to be fair." Our policy says that equity is a noun as an outcome. It is when you cannot predict student performance, et cetera, based on demographic characteristics. But equity, I remind you, is also an action. Many, many, many actions that lead to the equity outcome, the noun. In the words of Randall Robinson, quote, "No nation can enslave a race of people for hundreds of years, set them free, bedraggled and penniless, pit them without assistance in a hostile environment against privileged victimizers, and then reasonably expect the gap between the heirs of the two groups to narrow. Lines begun parallel and left alone can never touch." So I want to know, are we going to make the lines touch, or are we just going to say the word equity over and over again? Thank you.
Mr. Shaw.
Thank you very much. Tonight, with Thanksgiving coming very soon, one of the things that most of us never hear a lot about are the things that go on in our schools this time of year, where our school centers reach out to people in the community, the parents and the children in their schools, and provide all kinds of assistance this time of year. And those are the unsung heroes that are just go through the days doing this, providing food, providing meals, providing shelter for our children who are homeless, for families that are in tremendous need this time of year. And we just never have a chance to really know what these stories are, but they're out there. And I've started to hear some in the last couple of weeks of things that are going on in the schools. And I want to take this time that I think from every one of us in this room to thank all of the teachers and principals and people in our schools who do this outreach this time of year, because it is something that we don't know about, but we certainly appreciate. A couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to visit the conservatory school and visit several classrooms. I told Dr. Robinson I visited the classroom where her grandson was and saw him at work, so he was very much on task that day at that visit. But I went into the strings room and spent some time there and had a chance to meet one of our teachers who is someone else who does a tremendous amount, and that's Mr. Fernandez, who's the music director at that school. And he invited me to come down to the television studio last Wednesday where they were taping their holiday concert. So I went down, and to watch the interaction that went on in the studio between the students, Mr. Fernandez, but also the staff at our television station was something really special. I understand they're going to start broadcasting all of the programs that were taped over the last few weeks, starting, I think, literally on Thanksgiving Day. So if you have access to our district's channel, please watch it, because you'll see some very talented young people throughout this district do some really amazing things. So I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. As the superintendent said, we'll be recognizing Mrs. Andrews in a little while with respect to her winning the Shining Star by the Puerto Rican Hispanic Chamber of Palm Beach County. And I just want to say it was a pleasure to be with you, Mrs. Andrews, that evening, and see how much you're loved by the community for all you've done for the children. I also want to, for those of you that are watching, for next week, constantly we hear of one of our students getting injured in a car accident. So I just want to remind everybody, next week there'll be upwards of 200,000 children that will not be in school the entire week. So please be careful when you're out there driving. They're not going to be probably in the homes, although some of them will be playing their computer games. But a lot of the kids will be out running around. So please be careful while you're driving, and realize that we're going to have lots of children running around playing for a week outside. And with that, I believe, Mrs. Andrews, you have a motion you wanted to make.
Yes, I'd like to ask for a point of personal privilege. I move that we take BRD9, Proclamation for Dr. Gerald Burke, and BRD10, Posthumous Proclamation for Miss Ida Elizabeth Wesley, out of order from new business, to vote on these items and present the proclamations to the family and friends who are here tonight.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Andrews. We have a second. Motion by Mrs. Andrews, seconded by Dr. Robinson. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So we're going to go down to the floor. So for the friends and family that are here tonight, we just voted on the items. Then after the proclamations are read, we'll ask you to join us to congratulate the people that are being proclaimed this evening. And also, we're going to hear from 3 speakers, 2 of them from the Glade. So would the board members please come down to the floor at this point? recommend the board approve the proclamation for Dr. Gerald C. Burke. Do we have a motion? Motion by Ms. Brill, seconded by Mrs. Whitfield. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. I recommend the board approve the posthumous proclamation for Ms. Ida Elizabeth Wesley. We have a motion by Mrs. Whitfield, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Mrs. Andrews, would you like to come and read the proclamation? And then we'll hear from the three speakers.
Good afternoon, everyone. Proclamation of the School District of Palm Beach County, Florida. Proclamation number 1904, November 20th, 2019. The School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida wants to recognize Dr. Gerald C. Burke and issues this proclamation. Whereas Dr. Gerald C. Burke graduated as salutatorian from the class of 1949 from Everglades Vocational High School in Belglade, Florida. And whereas Dr. Gerald C. Burke received his Bachelor of Arts degree in pre-medicine in 1955 from Florida A&M University and his master's degree in mathematics education from Florida Atlantic University in 1968. And whereas Dr. Gerald C. Burke began his teaching career with the School District of Palm Beach County in 1958, where he served as a teacher of mathematics and science at Lakeshore High School, John F. Kennedy High School, and Suncoast High School. And whereas Dr. Gerald C. Burke served as assistant to the supervisor of Negro schools for 2 years, coordinator for the Title III Math Project, and co-authored 2 mathematics textbooks during his tenure. And whereas Dr. Gerald C. Burke served as a consultant in mathematics to Florida State Department of Education on the State Student Assessment Program, FCAT, at the secondary level. And whereas Dr. Gerald C. Burke developed methods for teaching students Advanced Algebra 2, submitted his research and thesis, and was awarded his PhD by Michigan State University in 1973. And whereas Dr. Gerald C. Burke was awarded Teacher of the Year in 1974. And whereas Dr. Gerald C. Burke retired from Palm Beach County Schools in 1991, but remained active in developing mathematical institutes and tutoring programs for many years to follow. Now, therefore, the School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida proclaims that Section 1, the foregoing recitals are true, correct, and incorporated in this proclamation by the reference. Section 2, the school board wishes to honor and recognize Dr. Gerald C. Burke for his many contributions to students and the school district of Palm Beach County. Section 3, the school board wishes to also recognize Dr. Gerald C. Burke for his many years of service to the community on boards such as CAPA, Urban League, Palm Beach County Housing Authority, Children's Service Council, NAACP, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and many more. Section 4, this proclamation shall take effect immediately, this 20th day of November 2019. The School Board of Palm Beach County is a corporate body, and we have our school board chairman, Frank A. Barbieri, Dr. Donald Fenoy, superintendent, and this comes from every school board member. Congratulations to Dr. Gerald C. Burke.
We have 3 speakers tonight that would like to talk to us about this proclamation. First, we'll take Tanya Burke. She's Dr. Burke's daughter, and then we'll hear from Belglade Mayor Wilson and Mary Evans of the Tri-Cities Education Committee, who will be joining us by simulcast from the Glades. Mrs. Burke.
Thank you. I am very sure that my father is very appreciative of such recognition, especially from the Palm Beach County School Board. On behalf of him, my siblings, and other family members, and those who know him and love him, we thank you, Palm Beach County School District and board members, for this memorable occasion. We express and extend our sincere gratitude to you for publicly bestowing this honor on our father, Dr. Gerald Burke. We too are very proud of his dedication to his family and service to his students, the district, his fraternity, his church, all of the organizations that he served with, and the community at large. My oldest sister, who was not able to be here and who is also an educator, shared a thought with me that I would like to share with you. And she wrote this in a text, and it said, "I wish there was some way to find a mathematical model into which we could input all of the ways Daddy had influenced his family, students, colleagues, and the community in order to come close to estimating the effect," and she capitalized that his influence has had on first, second, third, etc. generations and more. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Wilson and Mary Evans, please go on.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Bobby, Board Chair, Vice Chair, Mr. Shaw, other school board members, Dr. Fenoy, Superintendent, and to everyone in their respective places. It is my signal honor to congratulate Dr. Gerald Burke for his lifelong commitment to excellence in education. Dr. Burke, on behalf of all of your former students at Lakeshore High School, the Mighty Bobcat in Belgrade, Florida, we say thank you for planting seeds that sprouted into teachers, mayors, principals, lawyers, doctors, and prominent careers, thus leading to productive citizenship. Your higher order teachings enable us to succeed in life. We are eternally grateful to you, Dr. Burke. But what do we live for if not to make life happier and less difficult for everyone else? Again, we said thank you, and to God be the glory.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, to all the distinguished board members. In regards to Proclamation 1904, and a special hello to our board member for the Glades, Ms. Andrews, to our superintendent, deputy superintendent, and to all the regional superintendent, to all the school administrators, teachers, and principals, especially to the employees of the Palm Beach County School District, which is the 6th largest in this state. Let me first start by saying to the board members, we realize many of your critics, as well as the naysayers, always seem to offer opinions about what you might have been doing right, and in some cases, what you might have been doing wrong. Just know that you guys are very, very much appreciated. And with that, we say thank you on behalf of the Glades community. Sometimes mankind just don't know what to say and when to say, or don't know how to express when they really appreciate what you're doing. So thank you for a job well done. Now, speaking of appreciation, on behalf of the Tri-Cities again, and the Tri-City Committee, chaired by Mary O. Evans, we salute Dr. Gerald C. Burke, a true champion of all champions, a man that has led the charge towards the core value and vision of Palm Beach County School District. He's a man who was not only committed to guiding the student body of the Glades through their educational success, but he guided many of the principals, the administrators, the teachers, and the Glades community as a whole. He divided and he undivided many things for our community. So we say to you, Dr. Burke, a job well done. I'd like to yield the remainder of my time by singing this song to Dr. Burke and his family. I don't own the right to this song nor the music, but I want everybody to understand it's the word that counts. To Dr. Burke, you are so beautiful to me. Can't you see what you've done for me? For everything we hope for, Dr. Burke, and you're everything that we need. That's why we say, you are so beautiful to me.
Mayor Wilson, that was great, but don't quit your day job. With the families, Mr. Burke, please come up.
Absolutely.
We Bobcats love you, Doctor.
Got that burn handshake.
I'm feeling it.
And just before I leave, no, we didn't have to work. We caused that problem before we
Mrs. Andrews, would you please come up and read the posthumous proclamation for Miss Ida Elizabeth Wesley while her family joins us? Would the family come up here, please? Come up here.
Proclamation of the School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida, Proclamation number 19-05, November 20th, 2019. The School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida wants to recognize Miss Ida Elizabeth Jackson Wesley, who recently passed away, and to issue this proclamation. Whereas Ida Elizabeth Jackson Wesley, fondly known as Libby Wesley, a former employee of the School District of Palm Beach County, passed away on October 10th, 2019. And whereas Libby Wesley, born in DeFornac Springs, Florida, graduated from Florida A&M University and moved to Delray Beach in 1958. Whereas Libby Wesley began her long career with the school district as a substitute teacher, followed by a classroom teacher, an instructional television educator, and a project manager of the Early Child Care Welfare and Services. And whereas Libby Wesley was deeply committed to quality education and was a fierce advocate for improving education on the local, state, and national levels. And whereas Libby Wesley retired after 37 years with the School District of Palm Beach County and remained a civic advocate who championed for the volunteerism and leadership for many years to follow. And whereas Libby Wesley co-founded the Roots Cultural Festival in Delray Beach and flourished more than 20 years under her leadership, growing from a one-day event to a nonprofit organization that celebrates African American culture throughout the year. Programming and summer weekend festivals are also held. And whereas Libby Wesley was the recipient of numerous awards and recognitions, including Old School Square Life Achievement, Delray Beach Rotary Service Above Self Award, and the Sojourner Truth Award, the J.M. Family Enterprise Prestigious African American Achievers Award, and the Sun Sentinels Publishers Award, among many others. Now, therefore, the School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida proclaims that Section 1, the foregoing rituals are true, correct, and incorporated in the proclamation by this reference. Section 2, the school board wishes to honor and recognize posthumously Miss Ida Elizabeth Jackson Wesley for her contributions to the school district and her community for many years of dedicated service. Section 3, the school board also wishes to recognize posthumously Miss Ida Elizabeth Jackson Wesley for her recent City of Delray resolution naming the park the Elizabeth Libby Jackson Wesley Plaza. Section 4, this proclamation shall take effect immediately, this 20th day of November 2019. The School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida is a corporate body, and our chairman is Mr. Frank Barbieri. Our board chair is Dr. Donald Fenoy, and this resolution comes from every school board member and the entire school district family. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Board Chair, board members, superintendent